All right, guys. Welcome to episode 4. And episode 4, going to be a doozy. Stay tuned.
Welcome to Rolling with T-Bone presents The Cryptids of North America. I hope you enjoy.
All right, guys. Welcome in. We're getting on the home stretch of the Cryptids of North America series. If you've just found us, welcome in. My name's T-Bone. I shoot motorcycle-related content, and as you're about to witness, any kind of content, really, you have found us in the middle of a series called The Cryptids of North America. So, let's dive into it. All around the world, there are reports of cryptids. And although they're in different parts of the world, they're all similar. Now, what if I told you there was a cryptid in the world that is very territorial, 800 pounds, and can kill a man with a single blow? What if I also told you it was not discovered by a man? It was not discovered till 1847 by a man named Paul Delachaux. Impossible? Well, not really, because we all know the gorilla and the different species of gorilla, subsequent species. But at the first discovery, Paul called his find a monster. So what if I told you in North America, there's a cryptid in certain parts of the country that has also been called a man killer? He's known by many, many, many names, and he's reported in all 50 states, excluding Hawaii. And throughout North America, he has been called everything from skunk ape to grassman to the falcon monster to wood booger to monster of Whitehall, the Mongolian monster, muddy monster, old man of the mountain. And that's just scratching the surface. There's also the woodman, the wood ape, bushman, tree man, wild man. Guys, these things are seen in all 50 states. So these are numbers that are put out by the BFRO. And guys, these are confirmed sightings. In Washington, 708. In California, 461. Florida, 338. Ohio, 318. Illinois, 302. Oregon, 257. Michigan, 225. Missouri, 166. And right here where I am in Georgia, 140, including my own experience. So, the BFRO, these are confirmed sightings, and these are the ones that have only been reported. That's not counting the hundreds that don't get reported because people being afraid of ridicule, being afraid of what people will say about them, or will they be made to look crazy. Now, I'm not going to say everything is a cryptid that you see. But there's things out there, and I think we've opened that up in this series. There's things out there that we all just can't explain. So that's why I opened this video in an undisclosed location out in the mountains, in the woods, if you will. So, without any further ado, let's get on into this episode, or as I like to say, let's dive into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, mesdames and messieurs, senores and senoritas, wherever you're watching around the world, I present for your consideration what might actually be the most popular cryptid in the entire world. For your consideration, Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Let's dive into it. All right, guys, so there you have it, the opening. I hope you all enjoy these openings. Not always able to do this as we go past the acoustic motorcycle there. I think I heard Hooligan say that in one of his videos, called that bicycle a an acoustic motorcycle. But anyway, I'm going to give the old spiel on the opening here, but when the new episodes of Rolling with T-Bone starts, you'll see the new opening. But if you're new here, welcome in. You have found us right in the back end of the Rolling with T-Bone Presents Cryptids of North America series. If you are new here, I invite you to go backwards and check out some of my other episodes, some of the regular episodes of Rolling with T-Bone. And if you think we're right for you, maybe consider giving us a like, subscribe, and a share, and all that good stuff. And I ask people to do that because I know I'm not right for everyone, and I don't want you to have regrets down the road and realize maybe I say something that you're finding a little too controversial. But anyway, if you're old here, you know what's happening. Man, I'll tell you guys, when you add those numbers up that I talked about there in the opening, you come to the realization those numbers are very small numbers in the grand scheme of things when you think about how many people are in this country. North America has a big, huge population for a big, huge country. You know, we look at it on the map and sometimes we get complacent and we forget just exactly how big this country is. A huge, huge country. And then when you add in that there are millions and millions of acres of land in this country right now, and I know it seems hard to understand this, it's hard to believe as big as the population of this country is, but we literally have millions of acres of land that have never been touched by man. Man have never been able to get to them. So then when you add that up into the grand scheme of things, you pretty soon come to the realization that maybe Bigfoot's not such a far-fetched idea. But man, I'll tell you guys, when I started this research, I have off and on over the years always done research on Sasquatch and other cryptids as I would learn about them. But you know, as you do, you get caught up with life. You get caught up in living and doing things, and then time ends up going by. Guys, when I first started this research, I didn't know what I didn't know. Oh man, and that's why I'm kind of excited to say to you now on episode 4, which is Sasquatch, I'm planning on making this a regular part of the Rolling with T-Bone itinerary as the cryptids of North America, and then at some point later on I plan on maybe going worldwide and talking about cryptids from all around the world. But right now, guys, there's enough cryptids in this country alone to keep me busy for the next several years. Guys, every state, as we get to the meat and potatoes of this subject, every state except for Hawaii has some kind of report of a Bigfoot, of a Sasquatch. And like I said, all over the country he's known as the wild man, the grass man, the skunk ape, the man of the mountains, the old man of the mountains. I mean, hundreds of different names. And I'm going to, in this series as it goes on, you know, hopefully into the future, I'm going to start breaking them down individually and talking about the ones from different states. But I kind of am, for this series being the Halloween series, the Cryptids of North America, I am broad brushing everything because I'm not doing special clips and video clips and putting in other people talking about it. I could do all that, guys, but I'm not a producer. I don't have a production team. This is just me, and I will say this was shot using 2 different GoPros, a GoPro 8 and a GoPro 10. You're on the 10 right now. I primarily shot with the 10, but I did the lead-in episode and some of the other openings were shot with the GoPro 8. But to broad brush it kind of takes away a little bit. That's why I want to do a lot of these cryptids episodes individually, breaking them down individual. Now, my plan currently is to, you know, you will still have your regular moto vlog episodes of Rolling with T-Bone, but I'm going to try to make these cryptid episodes, to begin with, at least one episode a month, kind of signaling the new direction, but which I will make a regular episode of Rolling with T-Bone soon, talking about all that. Maybe a special Thursday episode at some point, and I will talk about the direction and, you know, the process and all that. But when it comes to Bigfootology, and when it comes to cryptozoology, when it comes to the study of these creatures, and I shrink it calling them creatures, I just rather would call them cryptids. There is a piece of footage that was shot in 1967, and it was shot by two men named Robert Patterson and Bob Gimlin, and that footage has come down through the years, now has become known as the Patterson-Gimlin footage. From the day it was discovered and shown till now, cryptozoologists and people who study just Bigfoot all agree at the same time that this piece of footage from 1967 is the smoking gun of the Bigfoot world. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you, when I said I didn't know what I didn't know, there is literally thousands of videos where people are talking about the Patterson-Gimlin footage. But I found a documentary, I think it was History Channel or one of the other ones, it might have been Discovery, but they had taken the original turkeys. Look there, a squirrel, turkeys. Gobble, 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 gobble. Gear down, dummy. Alright. They had taken this footage and broken it down frame by frame and brought it into a higher resolution. And guys, you can see the face moving, the face is flexing, the muscles in the arms are flexing when it walks, the stride, the muscles in its legs. And that's why people say that this piece of footage is the smoking gun. Now, if you don't know what the Patterson-Gimlin footage is, in 1967, you had two guys with an 8mm camera that were listening, and it didn't just begin with Patterson and Gimlin. Let me go ahead and say that now. They took their camera into Northern California, is where this was done. Northern California, Washington, up in that area were the beautiful mountain areas. People think California, they think beaches and sunshine and ladies in bikinis, but the northern part of California up into Oregon is beautiful, beautiful part of this country. Beautiful redwoods, beautiful mountains, but they were responding to all of the reports that other people were making of seeing Bigfoot. And these were church ladies, business people, loggers who were up there logging in those mountains. One group of loggers, and there was a documentary, and I'm glad I thought about that. Let me tell you about this right quick, because ultimately, guys, what I want you to do is just not take my word for it, and I don't want to put a bunch of movie clips in and try to get copyrighted and all that. I'm just presenting this for your consideration. What I really want you to do is to go watch this stuff, even if you don't research it. Watch it for the entertainment value of it. But there is a documentary that was done in 1972. It was called Bigfoot, Man or Beast, where there was a group of researchers took the cameras and they went into where Patterson and Gimlin and all these other people were having these sightings of Bigfoot. And out of that documentary, they found footprints. They found where berries had been eaten, all the berry bushes. They found wood breaks. I mean, they found compelling evidence for the time. But in our media age, in our technological age of cameras everywhere. Cell phones, GoPros, everybody's got cameras on them at some point in time, all the time. So they went looking. So what happened was Robert Patterson and Bob Gimlin went into the mountains to hopefully find this thing and record it. And they found it. The clip is not a long clip. You know, it was shot in a hurry on an 8mm camera because they had been filming a lot of stuff out there. And people say, well, they just broke this camera out just to film this little Bigfoot. No, they were filming a documentary, and they were on horseback. And the way Robert Patterson, who was the guy who was running the camera, told it was that he saw movement in a clearing. By the time he was able to get off his horse, grab the camera, and focus it in, that was the footage that he caught. I have no reason not to believe that, because now you will find in your journey, you'll find people trying to debunk this footage. Oh, it was a guy in a gorilla suit and they paid an actor. It's been scientifically proven that a human being wearing that suit, and if that was a gorilla suit, as heavy as it would have been out of the fabric that was available to make a suit like that in 1967, you got to think the ghillie suit hadn't been invented yet. And if you don't know what the ghillie suit is, somebody who's in the military will tell you what a ghillie suit is. It's basically camouflage. But they said that for the material that they would have had to build that suit, that a human being would not have been able to make the muscle movement, the facial movement. It would have basically looked like a guy in a gorilla suit. But this doesn't. And that's why the people in the cryptozoology world will tell you that the Patterson-Gimlin footage is the smoking gun that proves Sasquatch exists. Now, since then, and you know, we're talking about Sasquatch in a broad spectrum. Guys, Sasquatch, the first footprints were found in the mountains up there in that part of the country. The first footprints were found in 1809. Well over 100 and something years before Robert Patterson and Bob Gimlin stumbled across him with their 8mm camera in 1967. So we've talked a lot in our episodes leading up to this one. You know, we've covered the Mothman, we have covered the Beast of Bray Road, we have covered the Jersey Devil. All of the cryptids that I have studied and covered, this one and the Halloween Night Cryptid are the two that I really lend a valid research to. I think there is validity there. And if you don't know what I mean, hello deer. Deer's moving around beautiful fall day. Kind of starting to wish I'd put a jacket on, but I'm alright. It's getting warmer. But anyway, those two there, meaning Sasquatch and Halloween Night Cryptid, there's just too much. There is too much evidence supporting them for them not to be real, if that makes sense. There's just way too much evidence that points to, hey, there's something here. It's not just make-believe. And guys, I'm telling you, if you are new here, if this is your first video in this series, and if you're brand new to my channel, if you will scroll down about 3 videos from here, you'll see the same thumbnail, Cryptids of North America. You will see a video that I titled Lead-In Episode. And then you will see another one that says something to that effect, but it is about a 40-minute long video where I did an interview with a college student from UGA who is taking a course in zoology, cryptozoology, I recounted just 2 of the events that have happened to me to her in that interview, and I recorded the interview and I made an episode out of it. So if you want to, you can go back and watch that. So when it comes to the Sasquatch thing, I'm not just going by hearsay. I'm going by what has happened to me personally now. With that said, let me say this. What I'm going to say now is I have always kind of shrunk from calling it Bigfoot, my encounters. Everybody else will label it Bigfoot. I have shrunk from labeling it Bigfoot because of, you know, it was just at the time it happened, you didn't discuss such things. It wasn't a bear, it wasn't a human, so what else does that leave? But anyway, I won't rehash all that out. But when it comes to this subject, Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it, guys, I have to believe in my own heart. And not just Bigfoot in North America. I'm talking about Australia. You got the Yowie Yowie. The Himalayas. You've got the Yeti. Guys, he's worldwide. Okay, so if this bipedal, which means walks on 2 legs, if this bipedal 7 to 10 foot creature, tall, with shoulders like a man and fur all over its body, has been reported all around the world, are we all hallucinating the exact same thing? Well, the layman's answer to that is no, we're not. Guys, you can't have people who would have, and listen, people in Australia, and I don't know all the history of their Bigfoot, but I am going to research it for episode of Rolling with T-Bone Presents the Cryptids of the World, probably is what it'll be called. But you can't tell me that they saw that in the 1800s and their indigenous population somehow called America and said, hey, look at what we found. No. Every indigenous culture from all around the world have their own drawings, their own stories, their own myth. And guys, at the end of the day, they are all basically describing the exact same cryptid. It's Bigfoot, Sasquatch, whatever you want to call him, the missing link. I've heard him called the missing link. But at the end of the day, they're all reporting the exact same creature. Okay? Sure, there's difference in height. There's difference in fur color. Some are black, some are brown, some are red, some are white. But at the end of the day, the report is, it looks like a hybrid mix of a man and a gorilla. And of course, the gorillas, we all know, I talked to you a little bit in the opening about the facts of the gorillas. But guys, that can't be coincidence. I'm sorry. You will never make me think that close-minded. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not trying to make anybody mad watching this video. I know there are some people out there who are so close-minded that they will never be able to see what it is we see or what it is we're trying to talk about here. As long as they don't, you know, as long as as long as there's not a body found and it made public. Now, I have different thoughts about that. I believe that there have been bodies found by the government, or have been found and then confiscated by the government for research. But until it goes public and they go, hey, here it is, this is Sasquatch. This is what we have been reported to us throughout history, our recorded history, modern day history, then they're never going to believe it. They're never going to believe it. But I'll talk to y'all just in a second here about why I think there is no bodies of Sasquatches being found. And I'll try to make it make sense from my standpoint and from my point of view. But I've got to run into town. Pumping gas is boring. I'm going to run into town. I got to fill Jazz up with go-go juice. T-Bone's got to have a little bit of a Mountain Dew. And then we will get back into this topic. For y'all, it will be just like that. So hang tight. Alright guys, so what is it that I was talking about is the reason I think you're not going to find no bodies, and of course, like I said, I've got conflicting thoughts on that. Do I think a body's been discovered, or at least remains? I do. I really do. But that leads into the conspiracy side of this, and that's where I'm trying to lead all of this away from, is the conspiracy side. In that, I want you guys to, you know, watch these videos and stuff for yourself. You know, take a little interest in it if it is something that interests you, because I know some of y'all are thinking, wow, T-Bone, your enthusiasm really off the chart on this episode. It is, and that tells you kind of how excited I am in the direction that I'm going. But you know, yeah, I mean, we're, as a group, but as a whole, I'm not going to say everybody, but as a whole, there's a car show over there, but I'm going to be honest with you, they are packed, and I just really don't feel like getting in a big group of people like that right now. But anyway, that's not what we're talking about. October car shows are October car shows. But we're calling this thing a two-legged, basically mixed between a man and a ape, is how he is described. So in doing that, the people who are a lot smarter than I am, who have spent years researching, they have decided that these things are a group type animal, meaning they stay within their own groups, clan up, if you will. So if they are close to us on the evolutionary scale, we don't throw our loved ones' remains out on the ground for the vultures and everything else. We bury them or cremate them. We respectfully do away with the remains. So if those things are like us, and they are groupish, meaning they travel in families of groups, and if they are that close to us on the evolutionary scale, would they not do the same thing for their loved ones? You know, that's just my thoughts. Now, I've never heard nobody else say things like that. That's just my own personal thoughts on it. If they are that close to being like us, would they not, you know, at least put them deep into a cave? And then you say, well, yeah, but wouldn't you see it when they're seen, you know, wouldn't you find some kind of remains? Well, when you think about the acreage, and that's why I talked about how many sightings there were compared to how much land there is in North America that has never been touched by man. You know, it doesn't become such a far-fetched ideal then that if these creatures, cryptids, animals, if they are that close to us, then they might respectfully do something with the remains of their loved ones, not just throw them on the ground to decompose. But those are, like I said, now those are just my personal thoughts. But guys, I'll tell you, man, I just, you know, the Patterson-Gimlin footage, I have watched all the documentaries on it. And when I say I've done research, guys, the biggest portion of my research for all of these videos that I've shot for this series, the biggest portion of my research has been on the Jersey Devil and Sasquatch. Bigfoot has been the biggest portion of, because like I said, you know, as a fan of it, someone who's researched and studied it over the years, like I said earlier in the video, not to try to get too repetitive, but you get caught up in life, and then when you revisit the subject in a little later on, you don't know what you don't know. You didn't realize what you didn't know. And I'll tell you something, guys, the sightings, the footage, trail cameras, I have been watching a channel on YouTube called Maximum Fear. If you guys get a chance to check him out, he does like a compilation of all these different channels. He pulls all their stuff into one spot where you can watch clips of it, and he kind of gives you the layout for it. But man, the trail cam footage of some of these things, it's really compelling evidence, guys. It's not just so easy to brush it off to the side and say, well, that's impossible, because high definition trail cameras, and I don't know how much experience you guys have with trail cameras as hunters, but high definition trail cams have come a long ways in 20 years. You know, used to a trail cam, you hung it on a tree, and if something walked by and tripped the motion sensor, it would take a picture of it, and usually it was a grainy picture, but you could make out if it was a deer, a raccoon, a bobcat. Today's trail cams shoot 4K high definition video, and guys, some of the stuff that these trail cams are getting, and some of the stuff these people are recording with their iPhones, which have the greatest cameras ever invented. The new iPhones have great cameras. I will give iPhone that credit. Some of these, you know, the footage that are being shot with these cameras and stuff is really high quality footage, and like I said, it's hard to just brush that off to the side and say, well, that's impossible, because you want proof. Well, they're presenting proof to you, and it's the proof is a lot of it. These cold, closed-minded, really intelligent professors, they keep saying they want this proof, but when proof is presented to them, they want the next piece of proof, and it has to be a better piece of proof. Well, when it comes to cameras and the proof that is being caught with trail cams and action cams and camera phones, some of the footage is starting to get on up there in the high quality range, and you can't just no longer look at it and say, well, that's impossible, it's not real. You know, and I love the way these skeptics always dismiss it. Well, you saw a black bear. Well, you saw a bear. Well, you saw a bear. And the ones I really love, the ones that really tickle me to death, is when they catch something, but it ain't black, so they can't say it's a black bear, but it's caught in an area of the country where there are no grizzly bears. They'll say, well, the grizzly bear must have wandered below that imaginary line that we have that says they can't exist in this far south. Well, one must have went across that imaginary line, so that red thing there must be a grizzly bear. No, it's not a grizzly bear. Grizzly bears don't come south. I'm sorry. You know, if I walked outside of my house, I live in North Georgia, I live in the South. If I walked outside of my house and there was a 7.5 foot tall grizzly bear standing in my front yard, growling and snarling at me, the first thing that grizzly bear would see is a really bright flash. And then the next sensation that grizzly bear would feel would be the DNR picking him up, trying to figure out why he was in my front yard in Georgia. I'm not playing with no grizzly bears. I'm not even playing with black bears. Small black bears, you know, you can kind of deal with the smaller ones. Usually they are in fact more scared of us than we are of them. Now, unless you run across, there are exceptions to that rule. One of the exceptions being you run across a mother bear and her cubs. And I'm telling you right now, guys, if you run across a black bear mother and she has cubs, please do not try to get camera footage. Do not try to take pictures. Get away from her, because I promise you, every bear attack in the South by a black bear you've ever heard of, I won't say every single one of them, but 8 out of 10 of those attacks happen because humans got too close to the mama bear's cubs. And I'm going to tell you, I don't care how big of a man you are, a mama bear who's protecting her cubs will tear your ass apart. Period. They're end of subject. No other way to say it. Stay away from them. You know, that's if I'm giving out any wisdom in all this, it's stay away from bears. Period. But I love that they use that. Getting back to the subject, I love that the skeptics use that as a way to explain it, if you will. No, you know, not everybody is seeing black bears. Not everybody's seeing grizzly bears that have wandered too far. But you know that, getting back to the Patterson-Gimlin footage, and I am there in the belief with the people who believe that that video is the smoking gun that will first lead you to believe that Bigfoot really does exist. I am, in fact, in agreement with that. That is a really, really compelling piece of footage, guys. It really is. And I'm not going to promise anything, but at this point in the video, future T-Bone, if you can, maybe screen record a short clip of the Patterson-Gimlin footage, take all of the sound off of it so you don't get copyrighted on audio, and maybe I can share just a clip of that video in here somewhere, and I might try to do that. No guarantees, so if it don't show up, I'm sorry, that means I wasn't able to make it work, but I will try. But if you look at that footage and you go look it up for yourself, it's easy to find. All you got to do is go to YouTube, type in Bigfoot, and usually the first thing that pops up is the Patterson-Gimlin footage. That's usually the very first piece of footage you see, because again, it is believed by cryptozoologists and those who in Bigfootology that that is the smoking gun. That's the one video that you can look at all the other thousands of pictures, thousands of videos, thousands of footprints, thousands of everything that there is out there as far as evidence goes. They're always going to pull you back to that one piece of footage, and I think that's right. I think they're proper in doing that, because if I was going to meet somebody who had never heard of Bigfoot, never studied anything about cryptozoology, had no clue what I was talking about, if I was going to say, hey, I want to show you something and you tell me what you think it is, I would absolutely start with that piece of footage. The Patterson-Gimlin footage is the first piece of footage I would show them. So yeah, I mean, that's that to me, I believe that is the smoking gun of the Bigfoot world. And of course, each crypt, there was a picture, and I was going to put it in with the Jersey Devil, but I did not put the picture in because when I pulled the picture up on my tablet, it immediately popped up that it was a copyrighted photo. So I don't know if you other YouTube content creators or know this or have thought about it, but photos, you really have to be careful about what you put in your videos as far as photos go, because even photographs that are tagged copyrighted, even if you download that image to your computer, to your tablet, whatever you're using for your putting your video together in your editing bay, whatever, if that video has been marked copyrighted, your device will download the copyright also to that photo, and it will strike you if you try to put it on YouTube. So the picture I was going to use in the Jersey Devil, I didn't realize that, and as soon as I went to put that picture up in the video to talk about it, you'd cut my editing platform immediately stopped me. You cannot use this because it has a copyright on it. So just be mindful of that. And that's where I'm at with the Bigfoot thing. I will try to put a clip of the Patterson-Gimlin footage. If not, I will see if I can find an uncopyrighted still photo of the at least of the Sasquatch, so you can at least look at the photo of it. But yeah, guys, there it is. I'm gonna say we've got it. Alright guys, so there it is. I'm hoping all my audio's coming in. I just realized I'm having a little bit of trouble with my audio, my microphone. If not, I'll just go and I will screen record over and do audio. I will do a voiceover, but I hope it's good. But yeah, guys, there it is. I think episode 4 of Rolling with T-Bone Presents the Cryptids of North America. I believe it's in the bag. I think I'm going to lay this episode down right here. That's him, guys, the big guy. Sasquatch has finally made it onto the Rolling with T-Bone Presents Cryptids of North America. And guys, I'm going to be honest with you. When you go to dive down that rabbit hole of Bigfoot, you better be ready to stay there for a little while, because there's a lot of information. But yeah, I guess that's it, guys. So Halloween night, the final cryptid number 5, episode number 5. Well, it's going to air right just a few days away, Halloween night. It's either Wednesday or Thursday. I'll look on the calendar and try to remember to put it in here. But we're nearly there, guys. We're nearly to the Halloween cryptid. And guys, I'm going to tell you, the cryptid that I chose for the Halloween night episode really has more to do with Halloween than any of the other cryptids on this list. But alright guys, I'll tell you what, that's it. Thank you guys for watching all of these episodes. If you haven't watched all of them, go back, catch up on them, and then be ready for the Halloween night episode of Rolling with T-Bone Presents Cryptids North America. But guys, until then, y'all take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and hey, thanks for watching.